With the Moo banner behind us and Pinch Out making his wish for the future, it is time to look ahead to the next limited banner to see what upcoming operators have promised and which ones might be left behind on the back burner, or pulled for waifu husbando purposes. So let's take a quick look into the kits and see what they're all about, and then at the end, let's give them a pulling priority for fun. Executor the Executor is the 77th operator that was born on 7/7 and deals 707 damage. Which is fitting because for the upcoming operators we're talking about today, he's the 7th on the list of priority. Okay, not really, he's actually quite good. Eggs 2 is the first 6-star Reaper and this whole thing is doing damage. His first talent chosen one gives him a 20% chance of dealing an extra hit with the chance increasing 5% for every ammo spent on skill, with it resetting at the end of the skill. So damage but RNG. His second talent, Gunnery Resonance, gets +1 ammo for all Laterano ops deployed, including himself, so it's a bit of a nothing barrier talent unless you're running a full Laterano team, but at least he gets +1 every time. Eggs 2's best skill is his third, where he increases attack and roll, gets an extra row in front, increases attack by 180%, and for every ammo he spends, he gets an extra 6% attack, stacked on top. This skill also makes him heal 3 times the amount, increasing his survivability. At the end of the skill, he deals the red number damage to all enemies that have this little circle on them. His extended range lets him snipe dangerous enemies, or if you know a big wave is approaching, slap a friend in front of him and activate the skill and let him go to town. On release, Executor is just good. However, for those of you that want to play the long game, his module puts an S in front of X2 with how much he fought. Sorry about that. Segs 2's module at level 3 increases his chance to deal an additional attack to 35%, and that additional hit now ignores 300 defense. For every ammo spent on skill, it increases his chance by 5%, so at the end of the skill, he'll be getting the extra hit quite often, dealing big damage. Oh, and he heals 60 HP per hit now, so that's cool. Executor stocks way up with his module if what you're looking for is big damage and lane holding. Typhon is the strongest unit coming out in the next 2 to 3 months. She's the newest 6-star Besieger. Typhon, like Executor before her, does big funny damage, except she doesn't need the help of a module to do so. Typhon's first talent, Sharpest Fangs, lets her ignore defense up to 50% of an enemy as long as she continuously attacks it, with every attack stacking 10% of defense ignore. This effect is lost if she stops attacking for longer than 8 seconds. A very good talent as long as she can focus on an enemy and it doesn't wander out of her range. Her second talent, Heaviest Sludge, makes her first attack on an enemy during skill deal 160% damage and slows him for 3 seconds. Typhon has 2 strong skills that make use of one of her talents to its best ability. Purple Angelina's second skill, Law of the Tundra, will probably be the skill used 90% of the time. It makes Kayombe of Purple shoot 2 arrows that will prioritize separate targets. It increases attack by 50% and gives her a 40% chance to stun for 1 second. Like Thorns, on its second activation, it becomes an infinite duration skill. This uses her second talent nicely since this skill lets her attack all the enemies coming in waves, letting her get the big damage from the first hit. A nice AFK skill with high consistent damage. Whereas her skill 3 better utilizes her first talent. Eternal Hunt is her boss killing skill. This skill immediately marks an enemy in her range. This targeting will follow the enemy even out of her normal range. Her attack interval greatly increases, so now she shoots volleys of arrows that will deal 175% physical damage 5 times to the marked enemy. If there's anyone else within the marked circle, those 5 attacks will target at random. Anyone hit will be stunned for 0.4 seconds. This skill has 10 ammo and can be manually deactivated. Her multiple attacks allow her to build her defense ignore and deal even more damage. While the damage is impressive on this skill, it's a bit funky to use. If anyone else walks into the marked range, her DPS will go down since the targeting becomes random with multiple enemies, and once she takes down the enemy, the targeting field will be left on its death spot if she has any ammo left over. So if you kill the enemy somewhere inconvenient, you have to reset her skill. Still, a very good skill that will allow you to brute force to your heart's content from a safe distance. Swire the Elegant Wit is rich, but that won't stop her from stealing our DP. She's a 6-star merchant that will take our DP and use it for her skills. Literally. Her first talent, Big Spender, makes Swire get 1 coin every time DP is consumed during her skill activation. For every coin she gets 4% of attack added. That stacks up to 8 times. Her coin mechanic will make more sense when we look at her skills. Her second talent, SOS Payment, allows Swire to essentially revive. Anytime she receives fatal damage, she'll consume 5 DP to recover to 70% of her HP. Every time she procs this talent, the cost will double. She's literally too rich to die. Summer Swire's best skill is her second. Welcome Gift lets Swire spend a coin to place a champagne bomb within an expanded range, and this caps her coin limit to 5. Her champagne's range is the same as Chongyu's S3. These bombs deal 200% physical damage and slow the enemies for 2 seconds. If these bombs are left for 3 seconds, they will deal an extra hit, and the way you can tell this is active is by the bubbling foam at the top. This is a nice AFK skill that lets Swire deal good damage and slow enemies. The bottles get immediately replaced as long as she has coins to spend, so she can hit enemies multiple times in a single tile. As for her other skills, they are useful but not great. Her S1 provides decent healing, and her S3 lets her hit twice, and once she's built up coins, with a cap of 10, she can release them like a weedy S3, dealing a good amount of damage and with a slight push. A good skill, but one that can be replaced by any pusher or lane holder. Overall, a strong unit, but is nothing special. Eyja, the almost dead, is the first limited wandering medic, meaning she heals the funny damage the Coom gives you in Salty Fair Novice and all other elemental damage. Her first talent, Dense Miss, makes Eyja's heals have 6 seconds of recovering HP and elemental damage equal to 10% of the original heal amount, and this can stack up to 3 times. Basically, every time she heals an operator, that operator will receive extra healing after the initial heal. This extra heal will sometimes be enough to keep your operators alive in situations where they would have died otherwise. Her second talent, Volcanic Ash Remedy, lets everyone in her range gain 6% max HP, and they also receive 12% less elemental damage. This talent lets units in her range get an extra bit of survivability due to the extra amount of HP. Eyja is an M9 candidate, but we will just quickly go over her 2 main skills. Her first skill, Silent Nourishment, is a skill most people will use for general content. It gives Eyja plus 40% attack, and she also heals an additional operator. All offs within her range will also passively recover elemental damage equal to 8% of Eyja's attack. It is an infinite duration skill, taking 60 SP to charge at M3. This skill is good enough to deal with almost all content in the game, providing decent healing, and is nice for those that like AFK skills. It also has the benefit of being able to passively heal elemental damage for units that can't be healed. Her S3 is a bit more fun to play with. Volcanic Echoes makes Eyja into a global healer. It heals 5 times consecutively, though it will prioritize different operators, and each heal has 6% elemental damage, recovery, and heal amount. She also increases her second talent to 5 times its effectiveness, so anyone in her range gets a nice thickness buff. Not only is this a global skill, it also lasts for 50 seconds. Eyja has the highest possible heal in the game if all 5 heals hit one person. This allows you to do some funny shenanigans by letting you place all your units all around the stage, out of her range, and letting you heal them only when they need it. It also serves as a panic button when needed. Now that we have seen a quick overview of these upcoming units, let's give them a pull priority when looking through the lens of meta-ness. These upcoming banners are a far cry from the must-pull streak of banners that included Moinar, Texas 2, Executor Alter, and Ines a couple of months ago. Many of these ops are very skippable and serve most as a luxury pick for those that want them. What I mean by that is, these units are like Dorothy when she was released, a very strong unit that won't change for meta squad. They are fun to have and pull out when you want to change it up. This pulling guide is mostly just for reference for those of you unsure whether to pull or just keep saving. At the end of the day, it's your choice on who to skip and who to pull. So let's start off the must pulls, or the ones that will yield the most bang for your rundom. Typhon on release is by far the strongest operator on this list with big damage from both of her skills that will serve you well in harder game content. Typhon will also not get a rerun where she gets the 50% in rate up, so the best and easiest time to get her is on release, which also lends to her must pull status. Executor Alter only makes the must pull section for the fact that she's a limited unit. She is a very strong healer, but not more so than Lumen, or at the very least both of them are tied. Executor being a healer makes her a skippable unit despite being very strong with lots of utility. But the limited status bumps her up, since getting her after her event is considerably harder, requiring free-to-play 6 months of saving or whales to swipe. Executor Alter on release is a strong unit, but nothing special. And for those that don't specifically like Executor as a character, he's pretty skippable. It is to be noted that Executor with this module becomes disgustingly good, on par with Typhon that ranks above him. However, to get him to that level, it requires a very expensive investment that someone want to just avoid. He will make your life easier in chapter 13 H stages though. Swire is the weakest unit coming out of the next 3 months. She does good damage and has fun skills, but nothing special enough that can't be replaced with other units. Swire being a merchant will turn off many of you, as well as might be intimidating to newer players with the drain mechanic. She is on Eyja's banner though, so there's a good chance you'll get Swire if you're rolling for Eyja. She's good, but not the best. Well, those are the units coming out until next limited banner, which for us global pairs will be our 4th anniversary. So let me know who you've been saving up for, and who will get the unfortunate skip. If any of this information has been helpful, consider subscribing and leaving a like. Every little bit helps. And thanks for watching. Till next time.